Welcome to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman, and you're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. Happy to have you join us because this is, well, it's an auspicious day for us here at the Peak because we started doing this and we continue to do this because the local media, as well as the national media, in a lot of ways has checked out of their responsibility of what's going on. And James, I'm just calling to the booth. I'm getting too much echo or hollow or stuff. Maybe you can turn down the other mics. Thank you. Hey, we're doing live radio here. So the reason that we started doing this is because we suspected that the stories around the country, and we saw this in the election. You know, I've talked about it a bunch. That really the big loser in the election was the media, right? Because they totally failed us. They came out as partisan. They don't ask good questions. They seem to have an agenda. And we suspected it, to a point that it's happening on the local level. What happened last week, just on Thursday, and it broke right after we went off the air, basically on Thursday, and we didn't have a chance to talk about this until we came in on Monday, but it was good because it gave us a chance to sort through things and decide how we were going to handle it. And if you haven't heard the story yet, well, it's regarding our Mayor Yemi, and this hate crime hoax that has come out. If you remember, during the election, during the runoff part of the election, there was a video that was recorded of a cross being burned in front of one of Mayor Yemi's campaign signs with the N-word written on it. And people didn't know what to make of it. Because a lot of time these things are hoaxes. And it was suspected, and Yemi was talked to, and Wayne Williams was talked to. Wayne Williams was possibly, who was running against Yemi, was a suspect in this, or white nationalists, or whatever anybody wanted to say. But it came out recently that there were 3 men who perpetrated this, and in fact, federal charges were filed against them on the 6th of November, and you probably heard about this because this was in the news. This was in the news about a week ago. It was all over the news. It was local news, it was national news. But then, last Thursday, the Daily Wire, which if you don't know about it, I'm surprised, but they've become a major, definitely conservative, if not in general, news source for the entire country, broke an article that you can get on thedailywire.com, and the title of the article was, "Mayor Lied in Hate Crime Hoax Probe, but DOJ," that stands for Department of Justice, "DOJ refused to charge him, FBI officials say." And in the next segment, I'll go more into this article and what it says and what it claims. But overall, what it claims is that while these men were perpetrating this crime, they were in touch with Mayor Yemi, both before, during, and after. They had reasons for doing it, that Yemi was aware of it as a candidate, and when he was questioned by the Department of Justice about it, that he said that he had no idea that it was going on, that he had no connection to it or these people. And at the time, according to this article, again, and I will always say according to this article because that's what we're basing this on, that the feds already knew what Yemi's text said and that he skipped over them. And this is a very damning article. If true, this is absolutely scandalous because it would involve election interference and everything else, just a hoax, and that the person who was elected mayor was part of it. If it's not true, well, just the same, we need to get to the truth. We need to know Yemi's name needs to be cleared. He shouldn't have to go forward with lies and innuendo or anything else. So how do we approach this as a news organization? Well, this is really interesting because basically all the news organizations in our city, even though this broke nationally, are still not just not investigating it, as far as we know, they're ignoring it. If you go on the website of the Gazette or the Independent or others, you won't even find it mentioned. If you go on KRDO, there is an article, but it's not big news, and I'll give props to Richard Randall that he mentioned the Daily Wire article on his show on Friday, and he had guests on today. So you can go and listen to the Richard Randall Show, KVOR website, and listen to him, and he had Longinos Gonzalez, our commissioner, and he had, who else? Dave Donaldson, and he had someone else talking about it. So part of this story is, why is the media in town ignoring it? Why are they staying away from it? And I'll tell you this. I've had people say to me everything from "there's no story here, don't touch it," to, buckle up, this is just the beginning, and everything in between. And so what do we do here as the Peak? Well, our mandate is to say the quiet stuff out loud, and so we will, regarding, did Mayor Yemi know? I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to the Peak, and we'll be right back discussing that topic with Jordan Baldwin and Darcy Schoening. Okay. How's that?
Good.
I like it. It's good.
Great.
Are we getting a decent signal?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Okay. Hey everybody, we have still not our Facebook is after show. Nobody's watching this live at this point, but hey. Okay, so I will introduce you two at the beginning. Make sure it's not the camera shot, because we might be putting it into the camera shot.
Right, and then I'm going to bring it
Okay. I don't have. So, real quick, Jordan, as we just have a few minutes here, what are the things that you want to get into in that 5-minute segment at the?
So, I basically, obviously I got the clip, so I could talk a little bit about how there's a lot more to this story that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, but I've said that. So
Right. What I could say is, in looking into this a little bit further, we found Family Flavors in the Slide World Broadcasting Network YouTube page. On this page, we found a message to Mayor Yemi, and the video's listed "Dear Yemi," and it appears to be from Derek Bernard to Mayor Yemi. So we have a clip of that today.
And what's the date of that?
That it says it's from 1 year ago. It doesn't. It says August 31st, 2023. It was posted.
Okay.
I'm gonna write
August
that
21st.
August 31st.
31st, 2023. Okay.
And then I can talk about how there's these other claims that are coming up. There's a lot of other information we're looking into, but with this new article, there's more questions than answers now. And we went on the ground to talk to some of the people involved on Friday. We went to talk to Mayor Yemi's office. They did not want to comment. So I can get into that, and then I can talk about how I reached out to the Daily Wire about this official that they're mentioning. And this is new information to everybody, but it could potentially connect a lot of dots with these other questions. So we're going to continue to look into this and, kind of go in that direction with it instead of...
Okay, so you're going to spend that time on,
Yeah.
who is this Bernard
Exactly.
Byers guy? Because that's the guy in the video.
Right, so I'm going to set up
And say that you've confirmed that that's him by sources that know.
Right, I'll say, right, so I'll just start by, so Family Flavors in the Slide is implicated in this lawsuit. That's the broadcasting network that Derek was involved with.
Okay. Derek Patrick Bernard. Okay. Okay, we're back in 30 seconds. Okay, actually, it's back sooner than that. Okay, here we go, folks. This is where we... Welcome back to the Peak News. Well, that music is, it's challenging me today because we play that music, Dirty Laundry, because that's what the media is about. And unfortunately, we seem to have some today, but we're not here to kick them when they're up or kick them when they're down. But that's what the media tends to do. What we're here today, as we always try to do, is to get to the truth of the matter, put it in context, so that you can make good decisions for yourself. At the end of the day, I'm not here to want to even tell you how to think or indoctrinate you or do anything else, but to help you get the information you need. And unfortunately, on this story that we're covering over the course of this hour on the Peak, in case you're just joining us, which is that did Mayor Yemi know about this hate crime, which is now identified legally with federal charges as a hoax perpetrated by 3 men, federal charges against these men. Did Mayor Yemi know that they were doing this in order to assist his campaign? And so we're going to be getting into what we do know. This story broke on Thursday from the Daily Wire, not locally. And this is what's really crazy. 4 days later, we're sort of breaking the story. How is that even possible? The local media is staying away from the story for the most part, but I will give props to KRDO that at least has an article about it, and Richard Randall, who mentioned it on Friday and had a whole show about it today. But otherwise, local media silence on this. And that's interesting because based on what you're going to hear in the Daily Wire article and what it claims, and we are seeking right now to get to the author of the article as well as the FBI agent, who is not mentioned by name, in order to substantiate these claims. We've also reached out to Mayor Yemi and asked him to come on the program, but what we got is an official statement, which we will mention in a little bit. But all of this is a breaking news story on the local level, and we as the Peak are honored to do what we can. We have with us for the hour Jordan Baldwin, who you may know from listening to the show before. He's our top investigative journalist here, and he's been actually investigating things regarding Yemi and his administration and how things are going for quite a long time. So this is not new to us. It's just our opportunity to start presenting information because we didn't have anything to break with you. And also we have Darcy Schoening, who, how would I describe you? I call you like a political and social advocate, local person. How should I best describe you?
That's fine. Whatever you want to call me. I respond to whatever.
But Darcy, and you'll hear her story in the second half of the program, is during the election, the mayoral election, she was very much into trying to understand who Yemi may or may not be. Didn't get a lot of traction, but now suddenly she's getting the phone calls of what do you have, because maybe this stuff is adding up. So the Daily Wire article that came out, and please go on thedailywire.com and look this up again. Mayor lied in hate crime hoax probe, but DOJ refused to charge him. I'll read a little bit from the article. The FBI referred Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobilati for prosecution for making false statements related to a hate crime hoax intended to boost his candidacy, but the Department of Justice refused to pursue it for racial and political reasons. And as you read through, it connects Yemi to this Derek Bernard, who is a media person and also is now being convicted of ordering the murder of a local rapper, and I believe was a life in prison or was sentenced to prison, although he's appealing it. And also says that the reason the Department of Justice did not prosecute, even though when they were doing the investigation, they felt that Yemi was involved because they lied to them, and they had text messages already, which he lied about, that he was corresponding with these people before, during, and after the incident. Quote, the initial response from the Department of Justice was, we can't indict the first black mayor of Colorado Springs. In my experience, if anyone had been in that position, they would have been charged for lying to a federal agent, and that is according to an unnamed FBI agent. So again, there's a lot of questions here. Who is this FBI agent? Is this a real story? Is it credible? Is the story smaller or bigger? And again, we're gonna go with this for quite a while. All our Monday through Wednesday program this week are going to be all about this. We have different guests coming in to talk about that. As we get through this, I will say this. I asked Mayor Yemi Mobilati through Vanessa Zink, who is the person who books his appearances, and all she would send me was the official statement that you've probably already heard. But in listening to Richard Randall today on his program, I believe it was today, it may have been on the Friday program. He actually, Mayor Yemi, gave a personal response to Richard, and this is what it said. Richard, it's Mayor Yemi. I want to thank you for reaching out to have me on your show. I would like the opportunity to eventually get on your show to clear the air, but as you can understand as an attorney yourself, I have to respect the process. Because like you, I want justice to be served. Unequivocally, I have no knowledge of, no warning of, and no involvement in this disputable act. That may be the wrong word. I have cooperated with all of the investigators and will continue to work with them in the shared interest of bringing these individuals to justice. You're welcome to share this with your listeners, and so I share it with you. So Yemi officially, as of at least Friday, is saying no, he knows nothing about this. That would make this Daily Wire article moot. It would make it that it's false, that it's completely false. So why are we covering this? One, because we have to. We're local news. It was broken on a national level. We have to talk about it on a local level. Secondly, this is what we're looking to do as the Peak, to investigate things and until it's either found to be valid or invalid. And something this big, our mayor lying about something like this, that's a big story. And what's a really big story is why is the media ignoring it? Because they can, even if they don't have the information, they don't have to present it, but they can present the article and they can put it in front of the people. But you probably have not heard about this, unless you're like on the Daily Wire or you probably have not heard this, and you should hear it. And Yemi needs to address it. And again, he's been invited on this show in order to do so. So, what do we do in this situation? We walk very slowly. We present you what we have that we feel are facts. And then when there's opinion, there's opinion. Why do I think the media is staying away from this? One, maybe because he's the mayor, period. Maybe because he's the first black mayor, right? Why did no one care? And also they may very well have cognitive dissonance because all of this information, they've never, as far as I've seen, asked the man before, during the election or since, a hard question. Neither have they ever looked into any of the claims that he's a socialist, a Marxist, a DEI, a BLM guy. We have, and we continue to do so. And so these associations and the possibility of this makes sense. It could be true. Whereas if you have no background in this, you might go, that's impossible. No, this would never be Yemi. So you know, the people here at the Peak, even though we're citizen journalists, we actually know the man. Jordan Baldwin attended his church for quite a while. I've interviewed him and talked to him privately quite a few times. Darcy has been looking into this for a while, and other people that we bring, Rachel Stovall, who's very much plugged in to the African American community here. You've heard her on the show. She's part of our team here. She knows a background on like this Bernard, what's his last name?
Derek
Bernard.
Yeah.
She knows about this community. So we're bringing in personal information too, but again, we're being very careful. I have about a minute or so left, Jordan, before we get to the next segment, and we're going to get into this Derek Bernard. You know, what do you think about this as a journalist and how we are to cover this story?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of stuff people don't know. I think that we need to look at this fairly. I think that there's a lot of information floating around and we have to look at it from a balanced perspective, but also ask the hard questions. Seems like there's more questions than answers at this point. So what we're doing is really sifting through a lot of information. And, you know, we don't want to be quick to report the wrong thing, but we do want to get the truth out there. And it seems like there's some facts out there that may not be true, but it also seems like there's a lack of
Well,
facts.
they wouldn't be facts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same thing.
Right.
And here's the really cool thing that we do that none of the other media is going to do other than a tip line. And by the way, we'd love some tips if you have any information. But we're citizen journalists here. So not only are we bringing this story to you as it unfolds, but we're asking you to be part of the Peak. So go on thepeak.news, look at our citizen journalist page, fill out the form, and we would love you to be part of the team that is investigating the story wherever it goes. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We're finding out whether Yemi knew about this hoax. We'll be right back. Didn't time it out on that.
All right, so
Okay, we got 3.5 minutes here, and we're still on the live stream.
so basically,
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
This is what we
everybody.
look like. Come join us. Help us tell the story.
so it'll just be a quick Family Flavors World Broadcasting Network was the minority-owned company that Derek owned and was involved in, and this was the media company listed in the indictment. This indictment had implicated this network, and the mayor said the extent of his relationship with Derek was his press. So that's where the question comes up: did Mayor Yemi know Derek as somebody more than press? Now, we uncovered this audio clip that is from Derek that would indicate that they had a relationship where he was a mentor to him. So that's where I'm kind of going to go with that, and then I'm going to say...
and this clip you're going to play, it's like a minute. We'll let people know that the audio isn't great, but you need to leave yourself time to quickly read what it said afterward. Right,
and then, I could even get into, if there's time, there was an initiated message from Yemi. Bernard texted back that he guarantees the finish, and that's the last we really see in that indictment. Everything else is pretty sealed.
Right, that it's redacted.
Right, it's pretty redacted. So we don't really see any responses or communication from the mayor or them even talking about that. Then we see the 5-minute phone call. Doesn't say what was said in the phone call. So here's where these questions come out.
Okay. So remember,
yeah.
Quick. And by the way, just to review, this means wrap it up. If you're talking and you gotta get it back to me in like 10 to 15 seconds, and if you see me hold up a finger or two, I'm giving you a time budget.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I have on the drive. There's probably 6 to 7 photos alone of Yemi with Derek before the election.
Okay, good.
So you'll bring that up.
Yeah, I'll bring that up.
So basically today what we're trying to do is see, is there a connection between these two men that seems to be more than the mayor has talked about? And that would be our best sort of thing to establish today, along with other things that you'd like to say. But remember, since we're following in the wake of the Daily Wire story, we want to keep things in line with that as much as possible. So it's relevant. If we go far afield, it won't connect back to the thing that we're...
Do you want me to mention the police officer that called me this weekend? He's a police officer.
And why did he call you?
To tell me that he was helping investigate Yemi with the FBI, and
Absolutely.
They have calls from Bernard to Yemi from jail.
Yeah, I heard about this. I heard about that.
Police officer told you that. Now remember,
I have his name, but I can't.
Now remember, police officers don't have to tell the truth if they're asking.
I know, he's an investigator.
Okay,
I've heard that from other people too.
But know that police are allowed to lie to try to get you to say stuff.
Right.
So, but you can say firsthand that this is what you were told.
Okay, yeah, fine. Right, that's not a lie that I told you.
Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The answer, and the music on the show today is making a lot of sense. We're asking, did Mayor Yemi know about this hate crime hoax that happened during the election? There's a Daily Wire article out there, and by the way, you can go to our website. We set up a special page to put up data for you to look at as we get it. Right now, there's a lot of links to articles regarding the situation, and you go to the Peak.news, that's our website, and there's a link on the homepage, but also /hate crime hoax, and we'll be putting up a lot more information, including things that Darcy has been accumulating, just haven't had time to get it up there yet. But we're looking at this, and we're going to take this slowly, but we want to get this information out to you because for some reason, most of the media in town is ignoring it, staying away from it, even though it could be a huge story, or it could turn into nothing, and either way, the media should be investigating it, but such is the state of the media. Doesn't that expose a lot about what we've been talking about here on the Peak? So in this segment, I want to turn it over to Jordan Baldwin, who's our top investigative reporter here at the Peak. He's been investigating these things for quite a while. This is not new to us. That's another thing. That's why we were able to get on this quickly with information. And he has information connecting the main person in this federal charges, Derek Bernard, and Mayor Yemi through Family Flavors and the Slide organization radio show. Jordan Baldwin.
Yeah, so Family Flavors and the Slide World Broadcasting Network is basically, or it was, a minority-owned media company. Derek Bernard was involved in that company, and that's the company that was listed in the indictment. Now, we see these two other people, Ashley Blackcloud and Deanna West. They also work for this company. So here we have these three people working for Family Flavors World Broadcasting Network. And then we have Yemi saying the extent of his relationship with Derek or these people was just his press. So
Just as media, only connected
exactly.
because they interviewed him at times.
Exactly. So when it came out and the rubber met the road, okay, yes, I did talk to these people, but I just knew this man as press. I knew these people as press. So that's where there's some questions that came up, because we uncovered some other information from Family Flavors World Broadcasting Network YouTube channel, where there's a video posted that says, "Dear Yemi." It appears to be from Derek Bernard. It's to Mayor Yemi, and it's basically saying that Mayor Yemi had exhorted him as a leader in the Pikes Peak community and wanted to be his mentor. So we see some claims coming up here, and then we see this initiated message from Yemi to Bernard, and then Bernard texts back the night of April 23rd, 2003, "I guarantee the finish." And then from there, a lot seems to be redacted.
And these things were in the in this federal charges. It mentions these text messages, but it only mentions the ones from Bernard to Yemi. Either there were no response back or they were redacted. The Daily Wire claims that they were in there and that he did respond and he did no. Jordan, I know we only have like a minute left. I don't know if we should. The audio on the clip isn't good. We'll put it on our site, but would you please just read what it says?
Yeah.
Because I think people will get more out of that. Do that quickly. We have about a minute.
All right. First and foremost, I want to say.
So this is a video that Derek Bernard put on YouTube saying what, Mayor Yemi?
Dear Yemi.
Dear Yemi.
Yes. So
Okay.
this is a portion of it. First and foremost, I want to say that it's with the deepest regret that I have to address you with the following. When we referred to each other as brothers not so long ago. Yemi, do you feel no shame? Can you actually sleep at night knowing that you attempted to betray and attempted to bamboozle the good tax-paying citizens of Olympic City, USA? After so many of us worked day and night to help bring the lies that you told to fruition? My organization itself included, sir. Prior to your sham of a win, you contacted me telling me I'm an inspiration to the Pikes Peak region and you want to be my mentor. What happened now, my brother? I missed a couple of meetings, so now I deserve to be framed and sacrificed to your clan-based redneck hick handlers? You told me to move swiftly and act as your eyes and ears after you've won. The DM doesn't lie, but instead you made a deal with the corrupt cowards. Some of our brothers and sisters and comrades are down at the Liberla Beat. You should get down there, get inspired.
Okay, and this was posted on YouTube about a year ago, August of 2023.
Yes.
You can find that. We'll be posting it on our website. Did Mayor Yemi know about this hoax, hate crime hoax during the election? We're trying to find out. We'll be right back. Good piece.
We got it out. That was good.
Yeah.
I cut a couple things off. But
Yeah, no, but that's good. You have to do that on the fly here.
Yep.
I gotta change your mic because it's blocking Darcy.
Okay.
Let's see. There we go.
There we go.
There it is.
All right, let's sit back.
Don't block Darcy's pretty face there.
Jordan's just determined to cut me out.
Right?
Like, I'm done with her.
Get out of here.
Is your chair all the way up? Let's just make sure.
It won't,
No.
like I can sit here.
No. Just there.
Oh,
I'm just making
like
sure.
height-wise.
Yeah, let's sit up. Take your weight off the chair so we can see. Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, so Darcy, I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to tell the story about when you came to me. That was during.
It was during
the regular election. Was that just during the runoff, or was it during the?
No, it was during the regular.
The regular, right?
Yeah.
And I do full transparency here. Like, this is how we know. This
Yeah.
is why we know each other.
Yeah.
and I'll speculate, say I speculated on why, but, you wanted to get the information out there. I mean, one, because you wanted the information out there.
I just wanted it out.
Okay, I mean, do you feel that any of it was, because of you're an active Republican? Like, is that valid to say? Or...
Do I feel like I wanted the info out because I'm a Republican?
Yeah, because there was some political,
No, I mean, I see BLM and the trans agenda is truly evil occurrences
Okay.
in our system. So I wanted the voters to know the truth. Like, I wanted the info to be out there so that they could make an intelligent decision.
So, time.
Okay. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer, and what we're covering for the whole hour, in case you're just joining us, is there was a Daily Wire article that came out last Thursday, right after we went off the air for the whole weekend and weren't back until today. It was killing me. Talking about how our mayor of Colorado Springs, Yemi Mobolade, who we had heard a week before, there was a federal indictment against 3 men that perpetrated a hoax during his election, staged what looked like a hate crime hoax, a burning cross in front of one of his campaign yard signs with the N-word written on the yard sign, and it looked really hokey, and it looked like a hoax, and it was investigated at the time, and what this Daily Wire article says, and you can go on our website and find the link to that, or go on the Daily Wire, is that Yemi Mobolade knew that this was going on before, during, and after. He had association with at least one of the perpetrators that is now under federal charges, and that the feds are looking to come at him because when they interviewed him, he lied about it. If this is true, this is an enormous story. If it's not true, Yemi Mobolade's name needs to be cleared, and that's the function of the media. But guess what? The media in town is ignoring it. They didn't break the story. They should have broken the story. Daily Wire broke the story, but most of them, and I'm talking everybody, the Gazette, everybody hasn't even reported this story to you. KRDO, a little bit. Richard Randall did a whole show on it today. Otherwise, complete media silence. But guess what? We here at the Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud, and we're doing that here. And we have on the program today Jordan Baldwin from First Amendment Media, who, as we are a citizen journalist organization, and we invite you to join us and help us tell this story and others, is here talking about this, as well as Darcy Schoening, who has really been looking into Yemi for quite a few years, and I'm going to give a backstory on why I know about this because of Darcy. And then Darcy, we're going to bring you on. And Darcy is a local, she just loves this town, and she wants the best for it, but she's also quite politically and socially involved, and you've probably heard about her if you've been paying attention to anything. But how Darcy is connected to this, and why we invited her in for day one, because we're doing this all week, is back during the mayoral election of 2023, right? She came to me here at Salem, because we knew each other, and said, hey, people don't know about Yemi. And I have evidence about him and things that he's done and his connection to BLM and things like that. And at the time he was being accused of being, a Marxist and a socialist. There was all this stuff out there. But I talked to Yemi personally, and I asked him, I said, why do people call you a Marxist and a socialist and that you're dangerous? He said, I don't know. I don't know why anybody does that. But Darcy really had evidence on it, and she was looking into building a website and was talking to me about promoting it. And here at Salem we sell advertising, and we were going to sell advertising to promote it. And so this was a year and a half ago. I was talking to Darcy about this information, but when she went out to find interest, to get money, to do those things, nobody wanted to touch it. And why didn't they want to touch it? She may give information. I'll speculate. One, just like in the Daily Wire article, it says, how can we do anything against the first black mayor, right? Not wanting to do that. That may be it. But honestly, it was a risk. As far as news organizations doing it, it was during a political campaign, which if it comes out wrong, it could look like interference. And, I just have to say it because we say the quiet stuff out loud. At the point that we got into Yemi versus Wayne Williams, nobody really liked either one on the conservative side or Republican side for the most part. And so if you take down Yemi, which some people may have wanted to do, you end up with Wayne. Sorry, Wayne, if you're listening, but you know the situation is people didn't like either candidate, so taking that risk was really hard. And so for like for a year and a half or 2 years or whatever, Darcy's been sort of, why won't anybody listen to it? But now that the Daily Wire article has come out, we can start sharing this information in the wake of this article and then see what happens. So Darcy Schoening, welcome to the Peak.
Thank you, Chaim. Thanks for having me.
So what's your response to this Daily Wire article? Do you believe that it has, the potential to be true?
If I was a betting person, I would bet a lot of money on the fact that it's true.
Okay, and why is that? What is and by the way, Jordan is here officially with the Peak. Darcy's her own person. We're just interviewing her. She's allowed to say whatever she wants. She's not officially representing the Peak. I need to say that disclaimer, so go for it, Darcy.
Well, just based upon the evidence that I have acquired on Mr. Mobilat over the last several years, it was very clear that he was intent on running for office. He ran for D11, the D11 school board, before he ever even launched his mayoral campaign. That D11 school board run was filled with just DEI propaganda. His entire speech was, I'm an immigrant, I'm here to create equality, equity, whatever may be the case. So I continued to dig. I've got that entire drive that I guess Chaim's going to put up on the website.
We're going to put a link to evidence that Darcy has been collecting over the years on our site.
Yeah, and so Yemi Mobilat is highly connected to the men of influence, which Jordan just briefly alluded to when he was talking about what's going on with Yemi and Family Favorite Flavors, the slide. They're also connected to the Chinook Center. These people are getting massive amounts of money from the far left, from ActBlue and Soros, but they're also getting money from the city and from the state. So Yemi, the amount of evidence tying Yemi to these truly horrific organizations that are just built on socialism. I mean, I don't use the word socialism lightly. We're talking, this is a forum for the DSA, for the Democrat Socialists of America.
So we're talking about real Marxists,
yeah.
People that would consider themselves to be Marxist
Yeah.
operatives.
Yeah, so they have long operated on Marxist principles. That's what this is. And so 2 years ago, I started saying to myself, okay, this looks like this guy is going to come in here and start using these tactics to kind of divide and conquer the city. And sure enough, that is exactly what he's doing. So when that occurred, that cross burning, the whole incident, I mean, I said to myself back then, the chances are this is a hoax. Am I denying that outright racists exist in our community? No, they exist everywhere, unfortunately. But it looked like it was staged for the media, and then sure enough,
For a political purpose.
yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing.
And by the way, I mean, we're talking about actual federal charges, for this. The question is, did Yemi know?
well, it looks, based upon the evidence in the Daily Wire article, it looks like Yemi knew. If I were running for office and somebody was contacting me, like Derek Bernard, saying, hey man, the election's taken care of and this guy is now responsible for some horrific things, I wouldn't be in communication with that person. But this is obviously somebody that Yemi goes far back with. And as a matter of fact, on this Google Drive that I've assembled, you will see pictures of Yemi with Derek back 2-3 years ago, and well after election day, Men of Influence, Derek, Yemi, all kinds of events. I mean, Men of Influence are now part of city activities. Now, to answer your question about is there enough evidence, we have to continue digging for evidence. I will tell you, I've had 2 people reach out to me just in the last couple of days since Friday. One of them is a resident of Yoder. She has been telling me that there are similar hate crimes going on in Yoder with the same paint and the same words. And Derek has ties to Yoder, Colorado, which is ironic since the population is like 12. No offense, love you guys in Yoder. The other, it is great, it's a great city. But the other massive development is I did have a police officer contact me. I'm not even going to say from which department because I don't want to expose anybody. But he contacted me over the weekend and he said, I was helping investigate some of this Yemi stuff for the FBI as this was getting heated a couple months ago. and that Derek Bernard placed multiple calls to Yemi Mobilad from jail after he was arrested. Now, that to me, we've got to get a hold of those calls still, and we can. But that to me speaks volumes. If that did occur, then that's going to be another nail in Mr. Mobilad's coffin, because if you didn't know Derek Bernard, if you didn't know what was going on, there's no reason to take those calls. When a jail call comes in, you know it's a jail call. They tell you you have an inmate calling you. So right now, all circumstantial evidence points to the idea that Yemi was aware of what was going on. And if you look back through everything I've compiled on him, it's clear that he's a Marxist operative. So there's no evidence so far that points to the fact that maybe he wasn't involved. So I have a feeling that as this goes along, it's going to be explosive.
Yeah, so again, if you didn't catch the beginning of the program, as we've stepped into this going, why is the rest of the media in town like trying to ignore it? We have a lot of different ideas about why. People have said everything from it's a nothing sandwich to this is about to, buckle up because it's about to explode. Darcy, you were confident enough that I believe on Friday you put out an X post in order to call for his resignation. Even without this in, you're that confident. We have about a minute left. Would you explain why you feel even at this point that you're that confident to call for that this early on?
I'm confident enough to call for Yemi's resignation because the people that he's associating with, the places he's associating with, combined with the evidence from the Daily Wire article, all add up to the fact that there is corruption in the mayoral office that cannot be overcome at this point. If we continue to find more evidence, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So far, there's nothing to exonerate him. When he's got ties to some horrific, violent organizations like the Men of Influence, Chinook Center, Family Flavors, The Slide, Yemi is who he is. So he knows exactly what his involvement is. And don't lie with dogs if you don't want fleas. So he needs to resign.
Okay, that is Darcy Schoening giving her opinion about this thing. We at the Peak here are walking through this with you. When we come back, Jordan Baldwin, Darcy, and I are going to look through some ways of how we're going to move this thing forward and continue to look into it. We need to bring out the truth. You're listening to The Peak. We'll be right back.
That was
Solid.
Okay,
Okay, so
solid. Very great.
What do we want to do? We have 7 minutes. What do we want to do during this segment to talk about how we want to move it forward? We'll invite you back on. Suggestions for what do we do? Where does this investigation need to go? How can citizens get involved? This is generally our call to action segment.
If you want to mention, if we want to do a call to action, if you have any info, they could reach out with tips. We have a tips thing on our site. I don't know if you want to use that though, but other than that, I could talk about how I reached out to the Daily Wire. We're waiting for comment back. I reached out to the FBI and we'll be following up for comment. I talked to the Men of Influence and we'll be following up for official comment with them as well. And we're also going to core request these documents and calls that we've talked about. So we're going to be back keeping on this, sifting through the information and getting the truth out there, just kind of set up the future. Other than maybe a call to action to be like, hey, if anybody has information to clear up these questions, but that could get hairy too. But like I said, if you want to use our tips line, we do have that.
I'd rather send them to the Peak, so I'll add a tips form.
There you go.
On that page, anonymous if necessary. But do you allow anonymous? But we have to be able to get in touch with the people.
Well, we have it set up to where they can through option put their name and
because obviously
number.
If we can't get back to them, we can't substantiate it. We could the tip would have to be go talk to this other person. But
you just don't require a name and,
right.
and an email necessarily, right. But you put a number or something,
right.
to contact back,
okay.
and then the message.
Tips, okay. And Darcy, do you have anything to say regarding
Well,
how would you recommend me to inviting people to check out what you've accumulated?
Yeah, I mean, check out what we've accumulated and then contact either you guys or one of us. I mean, because like I said, I was just laying on my couch on Friday night and 2 people contacted me that were like, hey, I heard your. So, you know, if you don't want to use the website, contact one of us, but we need a we need an attorney to get the redacted parts of the texts, because they're going to continue to obfuscate the text between Bernard and Yemi.
Well, we were thinking about how can we get to the FBI.
I reached out to my sources at Louder with Crowder. They said they're looking at this today. They're going to be watching, and they have a lot of resources to maybe help us get that. So
that'd be great. Okay. Welcome back to The Peak. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. And we were talking about throughout the hour, and we'll continue to, because it should be the biggest story in the city, in the region. Somehow most of the media here is staying away from it for now, regarding Mayor Yemi Mobilati and whether he knew or did not know that there were people working on his behalf to perpetrate a hate crime hoax during his mayoral election in order to benefit him. And really interesting, just to say this, back in April of 2023, I was part of a mayoral debate between Yemi and Wayne Williams and at the Road Church. And I announced that night for the first time publicly that we were going to launch The Peak. Now, The Peak didn't launch until January of this year. But the very first time I was on stage with Yemi and Wayne, when we announced it, isn't that interesting how this comes back as perfect for The Peak, because we're hyper-local news. We're willing to say the quiet stuff out loud. We don't have any big corporate interest or any connections. We're just citizen journalists. And so we're here to do our job. And so, you know, it amazes us that this story broke nationally from the Daily Wire on Thursday, and yet here we are on Monday basically breaking it in our area. And we invite you to be part of what we're doing. If you have any tips, if you want to help report on this, if you're a lawyer who can help us look into stuff, if you're that FBI agent in the article and would like to reach out to us, anything so that we can get to the truth. This isn't a hit piece, as you've seen. This isn't with any agenda. Regardless of what any of us in the room feel about Yemi or anything else, we're journalists. And so this is about getting you the truth, getting our region the truth. So in this final segment, where we have Jordan Baldwin, our investigative journalist, and Darcy Schoening, who's our guest today, who's been doing research on Yemi for quite a few years. And we're going to be putting content that she has very soon up on our website. We have a special page for it, thepeak.news/hate crime hoax. We'll be putting it up there. Is Jordan, where do you think we go with this? What are you already in the works? Jordan's been going fast and furious on this since this broke Thursday afternoon. What do you have in the works for us to be able to bring the good people of the Pikes Peak region more info?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time last week sifting through info, going on the ground to get the story and report, talk to people. Reached out to the Daily Wire. We're waiting for comment back. I reached out to the FBI. We're going to be following up for official comment from them. And I also talked to the Men of Influence, went and engaged with them a little bit. So we're going to be following up with them for more information as well. But there's a lot of core requests that need to be done for documents and these calls.
So those are official requests for public documents to be released that's part of the law.
Correct. So we're going to be on top of that. And we're going to do whatever we can to really dig here and just get the truth, the raw facts, because that's what we want to bring you is the facts.
And we've invited Yemi already a couple of times to come on the program and speak. Overall, what he's saying is this is in order to, because it's charges against these other men and he doesn't want to interfere with it, that he's not making any other comment at this point. But I did read Richard Randall, a comment that he read on the air that Yemi sent to him personally, that he had nothing to do with this. So that claim has since come out even after the Daily Wire article claiming his innocence in this. Darcy, talk about some of the information that people are going to be able to find on our website on thepeak.news/hate crime hoax.
So you'll be able to find pictures and documents that tie Yemi Mobilad to Men of Influence to the Chinook Center to Family Flavors The Slide and to Derek Bernard. That's really important because to me it shows intent. It shows intent not only in his elected office, but when we get more evidence, it shows intent for this hate crime as well. I mean, these people just go so far back, but you'll see a lot of pictures at Wild Goose Meeting House. And for those who don't know, that is the restaurant that Yemi owned. And they went through some tumultuous struggles right before he became mayor with wage or tip theft, unionizing workers. But long story short, I mean, he used Wild Goose Meeting House for a solid 2 years to organize BLM rioters.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter rioters. To basically, signs were flying out of there. We've got pictures of all that. He had talks every single week. He would call them the Goose Talks. And these were hardened communists that came in to talk about, breaking Colorado Springs down and bringing Marxism and socialism into Colorado. This is who Yemi is.
Well, and openly, Yemi is quoted saying that Colorado Springs is ripe for a revolution, something along those lines. I mean, that was reported in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
So what kind of revolution was he talking about? Well, if you put this other information together of his background, can you draw another conclusion? Of course. Will you? Well, that's going to be up to you, because here at the Peak, we're not here to draw conclusions for you. We're here to present good information. Jordan.
And I just want to say, stay tuned, because there's more information to come. And just kind of piggybacking off of what Darcy said, we have other reports and things that we've looked into in regard to the Democratic Socialists of America, and
we've done shows on it here.
Exactly, and me myself having conversations with Mayor Yemi about the Democratic Socialists of America and things they were doing that harmed the city and put the city at risk. So, these things all could connect, but the important thing is that we get the information out and we see what the truth is, and we get all the facts, or at least as many as we can.
Well, we have a lot of circumstantial evidence, and we have for quite a while. The question is, do we have a dead body? Now, that's really, I mean, if you're looking at a story like now, do we have something that's so rock solid that all of the other information can now be brought in? Up to now, it was quite circumstantial. If the Daily Wire article proves out and there are federal charges, then we know we really, really have a story here, and then we're going to have to see what Mayor Yemi and what the people of Colorado Springs are going to do. Darcy, 30 more seconds, finish this off.
Well, I just think it's really important that we dig into this ASAP, because as you said, Chaim, the local media down here is not covering this, and we all know that the intention down here with the Democrats was to groom him for the governor's office, and we can't let that happen. So,
I thought Jenna Griswold is.
Well, I think she's finished now.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to The Peak. We're talking about whether Mayor Yemi knew about a situation during his campaign and lied to the feds about it. We're finishing up the show, but when we come back, we'll let you know, because we're going to continue all this week talking on this subject with different guests. So stick around. We'll let you know about that. We'll be right back. Okay, so just to sit here for the close.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
I think it was a solid program.
Oh yeah.
Was that a solid program? Oh, we picked up a viewer. Hey.
There's
How many
a
people
lot
are
of
watching
information.
I think it was a good start, and we'll continue.
How many people are watching it?
On the Facebook, just 5.
Okay,
We don't have a lot of that watch live on Facebook, but it can be shared. It will be live.
yeah. So when can it be shared?
This immediately.
Okay, I'll.
On Facebook. This will, the podcast and everything, we have up by tomorrow.
I'm working on a post-election update for the Republicans across the state, so I was just gonna go ahead and blast this out and say like, hey, we need help, guys.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and again, it's I mean, the more people that know about what we're doing here, so that we can get the resources and the help we need.
That's why I was talking to Mug Club Undercover about it today, because they were covering what the mayor of Denver was doing on their show today. I was like, hey, you guys need to hear about
Colorado's interesting. Did you hear that? What the Senator Paul, not Rand
Oh
Paul,
yeah,
yeah, he said that if Denver fights this, that he's going to be removed.
Oh yeah,
and arrested.
Yeah. And that he really doesn't think the police will defend the illegal immigrants and all that claim of everything. So,
well, I don't know. I saw that he walked back those statements, but at the end of the day, he added something in. The second he's like, well, I don't know if I should have used those words, but I just don't know if students would take that if they came in. I'm like, wait a second. So you just took a statement that you made, like walked it back, and then added another one in there that's even worse about kind of like inciting the students.
Yeah.
Oh, the mayor said we shouldn't take this. I can see it now. You know, like he's not. Yeah, he might be even worse than Mayor Yemi. I don't know.
So we're back in. We're back in a minute. I'm going to thank you too, real quick. So just say thanks so I can get out, because I didn't thank you, right? I didn't say goodbye to you yet. Well, no, I need to. I always need to put closure. And then I'm going to quickly finish the show. I just have 2 minutes to do all the previewing and stuff. So we're back in like 30 seconds. And then we can go to the conference room and discuss the second hour, which is for a different audience. Thank you for joining us on The Peak on this auspicious day where we get to really cover a big local story that for some reason that we have to get to the bottom of, the rest of the media really isn't covering. But you know what? We say the quiet stuff out loud, and so we're here for such a time as this. Thank you to Jordan Baldwin, our investigative journalist here at The Peak, for being here today.
Thank you for having me, and I'm going to continue to stay on this, and we'll be back with you.
And Darcy Schoening, thank you so much for bringing us your personal perspective on this.
Thank you so much, Chaim. It's an honor to be here.
So we want you to be part of what we're doing, so go to thepeak.news, become a citizen journalist, a tech, an intern, a sponsor, even a guest. And if you have info on this, we don't have it on there yet, but we will by the end of the day. Tips line, if it needs to be anonymous, it will be. But we want to get as much information as we can, sort through it, present real evidence here to help you make up your own mind. Well, we air Monday through Thursday, and while Thursday is Thanksgiving Day, and we've decided we are going to stick with our Thanksgiving show on that, but Monday through Wednesday, we called our other guests. We said, sorry, we're going to have to bump you, and all week we're going to be talking about this topic. Tomorrow, we have Jordan back on, as well as Colorado Springs mayoral candidate, former Colorado Springs mayoral candidate Andrew Dalby, who ran against Yemi and did a lot of research on him and is associated with The Peak and has a lot of things to say. So he will be on tomorrow. Please share thepeak.news with people you know so that we can get this information out. Also streaming on Facebook, which we did today, and it's on there right now at The Peak News Media. Get this out there, folks. The rest of the media isn't talking about it, so guess what that means? We need to. Coming up next here on The Answer is the Larry Elder Show. Stick around for that. Check out all the podcasts that we have, pushing 150 podcasts on our website, thepeak.news. The Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud, and we can say it even louder with you. Also, Crosswalk, I do today on 100.7 FM, our Christian teaching and talk station at 5 p.m. We're doing a similar show on that audience, Crosswalk, so tell your friends. Tune in for that, because we're here for such a time as this, folks. Shalom.